everyone. Welcome to the GSHSW podcast Near Fall. I'm Donald J. Brower. Thanks for joining me. We've got an exciting week of some stuff coming up. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you enjoyed, had a safe New Year. We're kind of getting into the swing of things. Now we've gotten past all the holiday tournaments. Now we're getting into the dual meet. It's going to start out with some good matchups coming up, including some we're covering on the live streams. Not jumping ahead, but we have the Warren Hill, the Hunterdon Central at North on Tuesday, and then we have Morris Hills at Mendham on Wednesday. So two really big matchups we have, getting covered, and obviously the HWS is coming up, but we're getting into the meat of the order here. We're going to start seeing some really big matchups coming up, and we're going to have most of them here for you on GSHSW.com. But I think we plugged our live stream and good enough. I don't want to hammer it over the head from the beginning. But one thing I do want to hammer over the head, Dan Wernickoff, champion athletes. Horrible transition, but I'm going to beat it. The man who makes this possible. When I tell you Dan is a huge supporter of this site, he's been here since the beginning. He loves what we do, and he is the man. If you were trying to be at peak performance, you don't get a Maserati and then put the cheap water gas in. You want the best fuel. Dan helps you with that with his meal plans. Go check him out. Dan Wernickoff, champion athlete, huge supporter for us. And he will help you get better on the mat and in life. You don't have to be an athlete. If you just want to feel better, have that energy and kind of redirect, and obviously with the new year, new me stuff, he's the man you want to talk to because he will help you. And it's nothing crazy. So I know with meal plans, people think, oh, I'm going to go from eating this to eating like a pea. He will help you work safely and help lose the weight. He's the guy you want to talk to, Dan Wernickoff, champion athletes. Now, we talked a little bit about, last week, some of the big matchups coming up, and it was an exciting week, which caused some shakeup in my rankings this week. So in the Morris, everything kind of stayed the same. Not really anything crazy. A lot of the top teams really didn't compete, but towards the shuffle, towards the bottom, we kind of mixed some stuff up. There was a quad the other day that Mendham was a part of. I had Mendham in the lower part of my top 10, I want to say 7. Randolph beat them, so that kind of shakes it up. Randolph winds up jumping up. They jump up in their 8th. Then you have Montville in there, and then Butler sneaking in a little bit. So Butler's one of those teams. They may not compete in the Morris County schedule. They're in the NJIC, but they're one of those sneaky good teams. I think they're going to win their division and compete in the NJIC champions tournament. So that's a kind of a shakeup there. Another team I was really impressed with in Morris was West Morris, since no pun intended, as I kind of fumbled my words there, but they had a really good matchup. They hosted a quad with Delaware Valley. They had Kittatinny and they had Morris Knolls. They beat Morris Knolls by 13. They beat a good Kittatinny team by 5, and they were right there with a good Del Val team. And like I said last week, West Morris is one of those squads. They have studs. They have some really good studs, and they rely on those bonus points because they have other guys who are good, but, aren't going to go out there and win 30 matches. They're good wrestlers, but there's a different level. The only problem I see, like I said, with West Morris is when they meet those other teams, that's going to be a problem because when you can negate some of those big bouts and the bonus points, the other teams can take advantage. But they had a really solid weekend. Another change at the top of the Passaic. I had been back and forth. I had kind of been debating Clifton versus Lakeland. I wasn't sure. I know they're going to be wrestling each other coming up soon. I originally had Lakeland and then Clifton. I flopped them now. The biggest thing I went by was a common opponent. Lakeland lost by 1 to Fairlawn, but they didn't have some of their hammers. Still, it was a loss. And then Clifton crushed Fairlawn. So that's my switch there. You got Clifton number 1, you got Lakeland number 2. And then there's some everything else kind of sorting out. PCTI is 3. They've had they had a quality weekend. West Milford right there too at number 4. So you got some quality matchups there. speaking of quality with the HWS, obviously, some of the big matchups we have coming up. I mentioned North Hunterdon. Congratulations to the North Hunterdon program, achieving their 800th win last week. Big milestone for a program. It shows the longevity and the history and the just general excellence of the team, that they keep going through and winning and being consistent, because to get 800 wins, that program's been around a while, but you got to average a good number of wins to achieve that, and not be one of those teams that have been around since the 20s. So, one of those teams that makes it. So congratulations to Coach Ronka. I know they had a really good run with their matchup. I know Brendan Riley beat a state qualifier to start the run. They jumped out really early and didn't really look back. So congratulations to a solid North Hunterdon program. And we will be in the house at North Hunterdon on Tuesday. I don't know if I mentioned that at the beginning of the show. But another team that we've covered in the past is actually going to lead me into my wrestler of the week. Mount Olive, Anthony Moscatello, big win, 33-second pin of Ryan Jack of High Point this past weekend. Gets his 100th win. A lot of people say 100 doesn't mean a lot. The problem is with the COVID year, now it does, because it just shows how good you are. So he would have gotten his 100th win last year by far, and he would have been on a run. So for him to get a 100th win, it just shows how good of a wrestler he really is. And also notes coming out of that tournament as well, Jack Basterica beat Collins from Southern, which that's going to put Basterica in some people's eyes and see what we do there, and see what he does have going forward. Now, I have my question of the week, and it's an interesting one, and I kind of find it funny when it comes to this, as far as I feel like this has been asked before in the past, or a version of it, and they're always it's fun to kind of get in these debates. And the question was, has anyone you've ever covered complained or complimented you after the match? Yes, it happens a lot. You'll do some coverage and you might say something off key, or you're just kind of in the moment, because people have to understand we're not really scripted when we're out there. We kind of are doing some stuff off the cuff when we're doing stuff, and you're trying to entertain. So there's times I might say something that might offend some people. There's times where that same comment other people have absolutely no problem with. So it's just in today's society and dealing with that. As far as coaches and refs, I've had a few coaches bring something up, or they don't like something that was said, but I've never had anybody get really angry with me at anything. So, that, and I've had some referees come up to me and say, oh, this is, this was what this means, this is what that means. And it's actually funny, because I'm looking at it right now on the other side of my camera. One of the previous matches we had done, I think we did it was the Kittatinny Cougar Classic. And one of the referees had listened in, and we were talking about the out of bounds rule and how it's interpreted. It was Coach Big and I. And he had asked me for my address and actually sent me the referee rule book. So I can, I know, so that's why it's called and what it's supposed to be. And it was funny, because when he told me about the referee rule book, he had said, you're going to know what referees have read the book the last few years by how they interpret the rule. So that's going to be some of my reading I'm going to be doing in some of my downtime between doing everything. So thank you for that. I don't want to mention names. I don't want to put you on the spot, but thank you for getting me that. But yeah, I think that's to answer the question. I've never had a coach, a referee, or anyone come over at me angrily about my coverage. I have had a parent or two, but you get that if you're covering them like this, if you're covering them on a live stream, if you're doing, back when I was just doing rankings, something like that, you're always going to get the heated debate. And I am totally cool with talking about wrestling. You want to come up and say, hey, Brower, this guy from Voorhees is better than this guy, and you have them ranked different. Okay. I'm not one of the guys who, I'll be at a lot of matches, but I'm not there at every Voorhees match. I'm not there at every North match. I'm not there at every Hanover Park match or Kittatinny. So there's going to be guys that, that might be really good that are going to slip under my radar because I don't see them a lot. It happens. So I always enjoy that. It's when people get angry and personal. That's, that really doesn't happen. I've had a few parents want to fight me, but that was a while ago, and it was over ridiculous things with the rankings, but nothing crazy. So thank you for the question. Also, I was asked a couple times about if we're going to have guests. We are. With the way the holiday worked and our recording schedule, it was tough getting some coaches or some referees. We were working on getting somebody for next week. I know we're going to have, I'm not going to give any names, but we're going to have a coach on. We're going to be having, as we said, a referee to come on and explain some of the rules. So there's going to be questions about that. Because I know there's a lot of clarification and people want to know what they're looking for and how they work it. So we'll do that. And, we're just going to have some fun and do some stuff with that. And I think that'll be kind of the main gist of what we're going to do. But I know we have our coverage coming up. We're going to, like I said, we're going to be at North Hunterdon. We're going to be at Mendham for the Mendham-Morris Hills match. Still a great matchup of two good teams. I think it's going to be right there. Coming down to the last match, Morris Hills is strong. I think it'll come down to the flip with Mendham. Right now, we don't have anything for Thursday or Friday. The plan is we're going to be doing something at the HWS on Saturday. We'll see what that is. Most likely recording some content, doing some stuff like that for a later release. And that'll be to this week will be with me is myself and Shaney Dunn. I actually don't know if Shaney and I have done a match together. I don't think we have. So it'll be interesting. I like Shane. I've seen his work with James Clark filling in for me. So it'll be interesting to see, myself there. And I know we're going to have James, myself, and Shane at the HWS and doing some stuff there. So big week coming up. Like I said, great matchups coming up. I know we're going to be hitting some regular season matchups as well. That not only the ones we're shooting, but I mean, you want to look at some of the previews for some of the matchups coming up. One of the matchups I really like up in the Big North, Wayne Hills at Manchester. I really like that. We also can't forget the matches happening tonight. A little later tonight. It was a banger last year, as the kids say. Is that the kids say? It's a banger. I know. I feel like that old guy who's telling you to stay off his lawn, but using the kids' slang. Warren Hills traveling to Peaburg. It's going to be on State Liner Sports. Check it out. That match last year was ridiculous and kind of stunned everybody. So that's going to be one you want to look at there. Like I said, we got Hunterdon Central at North Hunterdon on Tuesday. Pequannock at Mendham, a battle of two of my favorite coaches. I like Jay LaPaglia and Steve Bay. That'll be a good one. And then when we hit Wednesday, you got some big matchups, not only in the different divisions like Big North, where you're going to have the Wayne Hills at Fairlawn match or the Lakeland at Passaic Valley match. Those will be two really good matches if you're in the area. The NJAC, in addition to our match at Morris Hills at Mendham, you got the rivalry match, Randolph at Roxbury. West Morris traveling to a good young Morristown team. Newton at High Point. High Point has been a little down this year. See if they rebound against one of their local rivals. Hackettstown and North Warren. That should be a good matchup for the Colonial Division. And then Pequannock at Par Hills in the Liberty Division. That's another solid matchup you got there. And then you look at the Skylands. We got another rivalry match. North Hunterdon at Voorhees. And, those are always great matchups. Doesn't matter how good the teams are. It's always good. That's always one of those little town rivalry matchups. So, I mean, and then, you got on Thursday, Hunterdon Central traveling to Warren Hills. And then, Friday, Morris Hills at Montville should be a solid one. Really, really good matchups. Kittatinny at Jefferson on Friday. Some really, really good matchups. If you're interested in wrestling and you really want to get out there and be a fan, there's matches all in your local school. Not only what we're broadcasting, not only what State Liner Sports are broadcasting, not only what cheap copy imitations are broadcasting, but get out there and support local wrestling. I know everybody loves to get there and see what they can. Get out there in the gym. Show these kids that you want to be out there and support them. Fill the gyms for these big matchups. Fill the gyms for those rivalry matchups. You know, I if I wasn't recording or doing any type of video, I would go to a Randolph at Roxbury. I would go to a North Hunterdon at Voorhees just to sit there and get that rivalry atmosphere. You can't beat that, especially with the way districts and regions have been restructured. You don't get these matchups for the most part. So get out there and support these kids. But hang on, this is me jumping off my soapbox. I was going into a little rant there. Sorry, Sorry, I don't want to get dancing here. Jared will have to edit all that out, and then you get my fat going. It's all weird. But big week ahead. It's starting to drive. We are making the push towards the county tournaments, the sectionals, then districts, regions, and then before you know it, it's states, and then we do it all over again. So for Jared, the podcasting legend, I'm Donald J. Brower. Check us out Tuesday at North Hunterdon with the live stream. Mendham Wednesday, but we'll see you Matt side.